Hey everybody, now in this section of the course we are going to choose an audience to sell to. So the audience that our online store is going to be geared towards. Now we're doing it this way around. We're finding our audience first before we even decide what we are going to sell to them, and it's going to become clear to you why we're doing this as we progress through the following lectures and the next couple of sections in the course. So this is how we're going to do it. We are going to find a specific group of people. We're going to find out what they like and what they are likely to be spending money on. And then, based on that, we are going to find an offer for them. So we're going to find products to sell to them. This is very likely a completely different way of doing things than you may have learned about in the past. So if you've taken any other courses about e-commerce selling from your own store online, whether that be dropshipping or not, if you've read any information online, this may be completely different to what you have heard in the past. But this is the way I now do it. And I can absolutely promise you that this is, without question, the best and the easiest way to do things. So here's what you need to do first of all. You need to start thinking about who do you identify with. So what age group and gender do you resonate with and identify with? This is very often the age group that we are ourselves and the gender we are ourselves, but not always. Do you identify more with single people, with married people, with families, parents, people with no kids? So have a think about this, spend a little time on this, just think about who do I resonate with the most, who do I know most about, who are my friends, are my friends single, what do my friends like, what age group are we in, this kind of thing. Because if you choose an audience that you already identify with, you will have to do less research, you will need to do less research, but you don't need to do that. You don't need to choose an audience that you already identify with, because this would work with any audience that you want to choose. You just need to do a little bit more research so you can learn more about that particular audience. Anyway, think about this now, and then we'll move on to the next section, and we'll start with the practical work of actually identifying the audience that we want to sell to. Hi everyone, this is a very quick video, but it's important. In the following lessons, we use a free tool called Facebook Audience Insights. And you will see in the lessons that we get to that tool by clicking on Create Ads and getting to the Ads Manager, and that's how we access the Audience Insights tool. However, Facebook has moved things around a little bit. Now my account still looks exactly the same as it does in the following lessons. As you can see here, I have a tab for Create Ads and another tab, Advertising on Facebook. Now when I click on the tab Create Ads, it takes me to the Ads Manager where I can access Facebook Audience Insights, which is the tool that we will be using. However, some accounts don't have this tab anymore. They just have this tab here, Advertising on Facebook. So if your account does not have this tab here, Create Ads, and you just have this one instead, you should still be able to get to the page that you need by clicking on that tab, Advertising on Facebook. If you can't, I want you to use this URL. So while you are logged into your Facebook account, put this URL into your browser, facebook.com/adsmanager/creation. You only need to do this if your account does not have the Create Ads tab. Okay, and this will make sense when you start to go through the following lessons, but I wanted to make this short video and add it here just in case your account does not look exactly the same as mine, I want to stress that you can still use the tool that we're using in the following lessons, even if you need to access it a slightly different way than I do from my account. All right, see you in the next lesson. Hey everybody, now this is where the fun starts, and hopefully by now you will have been thinking about which kind of audience do you resonate with, which group of people, which demographic do you associate with the most, or which kind of group of people that you would like to target with your store. Now, if you haven't, that's fine. Just keep following along here, and hopefully by the time you've been through the next few lessons, you'll have a much better idea about which kind of people that you want to sell to. Now, we're going to use a really great free tool provided by Facebook. It's called Audience Insights. And in order to access Audience Insights, we need to create a Facebook page, a page for business. But don't worry, we're only going to be creating the frame of the page right now. We're not going to be adding any content to it or anything like that. So it's only going to take a minute. Now, you will need a Facebook account. So if you don't have one already, you'll need to register on Facebook for an account now. And once you've done that, go to the blue bar, click on it, and click on Create Page. You've got two choices here, business or brand, or community or public figure. You're going to need this one here, business or brand. Click on Get Started. Now give your page a name. Don't worry about this too much, because at this point in time, we're not going to be using this page. You can even delete this page afterwards if you want to. So just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to make up a name for this page. Now we need to choose a category, but once again, at this stage in the game, don't worry about this too much. Basically, I would just go for shopping and retail. Now we do need to enter an address here, but we can tick the box for don't show my address. And this here is not a real address because this is just a demonstration. Click continue. We can just go ahead here and click skip. Skip again. And now we have our page, and that's all we need right now. We don't need anything on this page. Later on in the course, we are going to be creating a page for real, but it doesn't have to be this page. You can create another one from scratch. All right, now the next thing is go back up to the blue bar, click the drop down arrow and click on Create Ads. We are not going to be creating any ads. We just need this page. We need to get in here in order to get to Facebook Audience Insights. Now up here, we have Ads Manager. We click on here, we can click on Audience Insights, but sometimes it's a bit buggy and sometimes it doesn't work. When you click on Ads Manager, nothing happens. If that happens to you, go right over here to the flag, click the flag and select the page that you just created. And then up here, it will work now. So click here and select Audience Insights. Choose an audience to start with. Choose everyone on Facebook. All right, let's move on to the next lesson where we're going to start drilling down here in Audience Insights to find our particular target market. So I'll see you there in a minute. So here we are back on Audience Insights, and as you can see, this time I have the pop-up asking me to choose an audience. So I'm going to choose everyone on Facebook. Now the first thing that you need to do is you need to choose the country that you are targeting. So whichever country that you are going to be drop shipping in, that's the country you want to choose. So we have United States here, or I have United States here by default. You may have a different country in there by default. So to change the country, you can remove United States or whatever country you've got, type your country or region in here. If not, you're going to get the whole of Facebook, which is not what you want. I'm going to stick with the United States anyway for this demonstration. The next thing you want to do is you want to choose an age group, because we never target all age groups. When we are marketing online, it doesn't matter what we're doing, whether we're selling from our own store or a blog or whatever we're doing, we always want to be focusing on a specific age group. It makes things so much easier. So Hopefully you've been thinking a bit about which age group that you resonate with. That is normally the age group that you yourself are part of, but it doesn't need to be. I myself tend to prefer marketing to a younger age group than the age group I belong to. Now, I am very familiar with these younger age groups now because I have done a lot of work targeting these age groups, and I have kids myself in those age groups. But if you're choosing an age group that is not you, so you are not part of that age group, it just means you're going to need to do a bit more research. So to begin with here, I'm going to go for age 25 to say 35. You also want to choose a gender. So again, you don't want all, you want either men or either women, and you need to decide which of these genders you are going to target. Normally that would be the gender that you are yourself. So in this case, I'm going to select women. Now we also want to choose an interest. So we don't just want to go completely broad here. This whole age group, there are 25 to 30 million of them monthly active on Facebook, women between the age of 25 to 35. There are a lot of them, but we want to start narrowing things down a bit. So start thinking just a little bit, what kind of things interest you? Now, nothing's set in stone at this stage, and we're just going to be quite general. So I think for this demonstration, I'm going to choose travel, and in fact, maybe I'll just choose adventure travel. All right, adventure travel. Now we've got 800,000 to 900,000 monthly active people. Now, in fact, we do want a little bit more than that, because what we really want is a minimum of about 1.5 million monthly active people for our target market. So we can play around a little bit with the age. I prefer to go down a little bit on the age group rather than up. Now I'm thinking that I might go down here to age 20. Let's try that. And now we've got the 1 to 1.5 million monthly active people, which is okay. Little on the low side, but still okay. Now what we can see is that in fact most are, we've got 64% of them between the 25 and 35. Well, it's 25 and 34 actually. That's the age group that really dominates this particular interest, the 25s to 34s. Now, if you're wondering why I tend to go for the younger age groups, it's because they tend to spend more money online, they spend more time online, and they buy more online. So they are online spenders over offline spenders, whereas when you get to over 40 or 45 maximum, that age group, they not only spend less time online, but they are more offline spenders than online spenders, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that you cannot succeed selling to the older demographic online, but it is harder. Now, if we scroll down this page a little bit here, we can see the type of jobs that this demographic is involved with. So healthcare and medical services, they're 67% more likely to be involved in that industry than the rest of Facebook, so the rest of the users on Facebook. And we can see here that this is an educated group of people. They are 18% more likely to be college educated than the rest of Facebook, and they are 28% more likely to be grad school educated than the rest of Facebook. They are 44% less likely to be only high school educated than the rest of Facebook. So that ties in with the job titles as well, with healthcare and medical services, because that's professional. These are mainly professional jobs, and these guys, or these girls rather, are really quite educated type of people. So, you know, when you look at this interest here, adventure travel, this all makes sense to me, because people who are interested in adventure travel, they are forward thinking, they are innovative, resourceful, and they're bold and they're adventurous. And these type of people do tend to be more educated. Now you can look at location, but location is probably going to be irrelevant to you having an online business, Location is usually more important for people who have local businesses, local services, or shops, offline shops, that sort of thing. Now, under activity, what we can see here is that this is an active group of people. They're active on Facebook. Ads clicked. This is an important one because this tells you how many ads this group has clicked on in the last 30 days. And why is this important? Well, if they're clicking on ads, it means that they buy things. They're interested in buying things. So we've got 39 ads clicked on in the last 30 days. That's the average that these people, that one of these users has clicked on, 39 ads, which is a lot compared to the rest of Facebook users, which is 15. So the average number of ads that the average Facebook user clicks on in a 30-day period is 15, but this group is 39. Now, promotions redeemed, it's the same as the rest of Facebook. Posts shared, they've shared 3 posts in the last 30 days, as opposed to the rest of Facebook who shared 2. Posts liked, they've liked 35 posts in the last 30 days, as opposed to the rest of Facebook, which is only 9. And they've made 18 comments on posts in the last 30 days, as opposed to the rest of Facebook, which is only 6. And for pages liked, this is a bit different. This is lifetime. They've liked 2 pages, where the rest of Facebook, on average, has only liked 1 page. So we know this is a very active group of people. They're active on Facebook. They are clicking on a lot of ads. So they are almost certainly making a lot of purchases online. Now, the next thing we can do to find out more about this group of people, we can click on page likes. The top categories are travel and transportation. That kind of makes sense because they're into travel. They also like outdoors and sporting goods. They like jewelry and watches, and they like clothing, different brands here. Makes sense, it's the age group, 20 to 35 women. They like cosmetics, health and beauty, and the websites they're interested in, and women's clothing stores. Now here are the Facebook pages they like. EF, Ultimate Break. Let's check it out. Travel often, travel together. This is a travel page. Toby, let's check this one out. It's a clothing brand. And they like these other fashion websites, and they like Brilliant Earth. Now, what this means here, affinity, 150 times. It means that this group is 150 times more likely to like this page here, EF Ultimate Break, than the rest of Facebook. So that's a high affinity. We know that they really do like this page. And Toby, the fashion one, they are 75 times more likely to like that page than the rest of Facebook users. So right now we're starting to build up a picture. What does this particular group of people like? What do they spend their money on? So we're really starting to get a good picture built up about this particular target audience. Now, what does this mean to us? Well, first of all, if we were interested ourselves in the travel niche, we could create a store around adventure travel, but knowing all these things, all this information and data about this particular group of people, this is going to help us not just with what we are selling, but with the content for our Facebook page, which we're going to be doing later on in the course, with content for the blog on our store, which you have the option of doing, and we're going to talk about that later in the course as well. So you have the option of having an integrated blog on your store, on your Shopify store. And when it comes to the products to sell on our store, by knowing the types of things and the types of interest that this group is into, what they like, what they're interested in, we can make sure that we are selling the products that they are more likely to buy. Because when you think of adventure travel, well, you might think that's a small niche, but there are so many different demographics. So the male adventure traveler is going to be buying different types of products than the female adventure traveler. The 20 to 35-year-old adventure traveler is going to be buying different types of products to the 45 to 55 or 60-year-old adventure traveller. I hope this is starting to make sense to you now. Now, what we can do is we can stick with this audience demographic, but we can change the interest. So let's just change the interest and see what we can come up with. All right, so I've added parenting. So all I did was I went to family and relationships, clicked the drop down arrow and chose parenting, which is down here somewhere. There it is. So we've got a much, much bigger audience now. We've got 10 to 15 million monthly active people. We're still on United States. We're still on the age group 20 to 35. Now, what we can see with top categories, we've got health and wellness website, Baby Gaga, and then we've got baby goods, kids goods. Under products and services, we've got Fab Kids Baby Center. For the favorite writer, we've got Bad Parenting Moments, Media News Company, 90s Kids, Parents, Scary Mummy. So we can see here now there's been quite a dramatic change in the types of interest and the things that this group likes by changing the interest here from adventure travel to parenting. We've got a completely different type of person now, a completely different group of people. So let's take a look at the page likes. And the top one here is 90s Kids. And this one here, this is also about kids. We've got Target Baby, Pampers, Screaming Owl, Babies R Us. We've also got a bridal page here as well. This is a wedding Facebook page. So I would imagine that with this age group, there's a lot of them getting married as well, between the age 20 to 35. But right now we're looking at parenting. We could change this and have a look at weddings if we wanted to. So we can see a lot of information about this target demographic here in relation to parenting. There's definitely a lot you can do in the parenting niche, and you can even break that down even further. Let's have a look at activity. Now, these guys are even more active than the adventure travelers. We've got them clicking on 47 ads in a month. So much, much more than the average Facebook user. And we've got them sharing a lot more posts. We've got them liking a lot more posts, making a lot more comments. And the pages liked, that hasn't changed. The vast majority of them are aged between 25 and 34. Makes sense because the lower age group, which would be 20 to 24 in this case, because that's what I selected over here, they are not so likely to be parents as this age group here. Now for this particular interest, I will probably go up to about 25. Let's do 24. Yeah, 24 to 35. And that still gives me 8 to 9 million monthly active people. This would definitely be the age group I would be targeting. So if I was in the parenting niche, I would be targeting the 24 to 35 age group, and women, of course. If we clicked on men, just as a matter of interest, let's go for all. And there aren't many men at all. So we've only got 13% men and 87% women. So we can just focus on women. And on the pages liked, what you can do is you can go to these pages, 90s Kids. Let's open this one. And you can start to take a look at which posts get the most interaction. So you can see here, this has had 590,000 views. That's had 26 comments. That's a bit better. If you find posts with a lot of comments, that's a sign that, well, it's a definite indication that people have been very interested in the subject of this post. Often you can see promotional posts that have a lot of activity on them as well. So that's a good sign that the people who use this page, and we know that this particular demographic does use this page a lot, that's a good sign that they're interested in what that post was about. So this can help to give you ideas for individual products on your store. Now this post here is about a facial vacuum. It's had 19 shares, it's had about 35 comments. So this has had some interest. Now this is something that's in store, but I will be almost certain that these are available just as products to buy and sell retail. Minnie Mouse ears. So people are liking this. There's been 141 reactions, 24 shares, 36 comments. Paddling pools, again, been interest here. And see this here, whatever this is, it's had a lot of interest, 123 shares and a bunch of comments and 213 reactions. And it's some kind of makeup brush. All right, so hopefully you're starting to get the idea, and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right, what I want to do now is I want to change the country. So I'm going to get rid of United States, and I'm going to try this time United Kingdom. And let's try a different interest. So let's say, for example, that you are interested in sports, but you are interested in a particular kind of sport. So let's just go down sports and outdoors. So what if it's swimming? Now we haven't got a big enough group here. We've only got 450 to 500,000 monthly active people. But let's try all for gender. We still don't have enough. We would need to change the age group. So I wouldn't like to go lower than 20, and the reason I don't like to go lower than 20 is because below that age group, users don't tend to have a lot of money to spend online or to spend at all. That's just the way it is. And I don't personally like to go too far over 35. We could take it up maximum, say 40, that would be the maximum. Now we have 1 million to 1.5 million monthly active people. We've got 60% women and 40% men. But what this would mean is in order to have a big enough group of people, we need to target both women and men. Now it's up to you, but I prefer not to do that. The reason that I prefer not to do that, and you might also prefer not to do it as well, when I explain to you why that is, when we are doing our promoting and our marketing, so when we create a Facebook page that we do later on, and everything that we do on our store, it is better if it's targeted towards one gender or another. Because when we target to a specific demographic, we tend to get better results. So for me, swimming as a niche and targeting the UK, this wouldn't work. So I would try some different niches here. Now I want to target women. If you wanted to target men, we can take a look at sports that will be dominated by men. So for example, let's say that you are really interested in football. We're going to get rid of sports, and then we're going to go sports again, but this time we're going to look for football. And here we have a much bigger audience, 5 to 6 million monthly active people. Now we're choosing men. If we clicked on all, just as an example, we can see that there are actually a lot of women interested in football as well. So in fact, we could choose men or women here. Now there are more men. We've got 5 to 6 million monthly active people for men, but if we go women, we've still got 3.5 to 4 million monthly active people. So if you were a woman and you were interested in football, or even if you're a man, you could actually target women who are interested in football as opposed to men. Biggest age group is the 25 to 34, so we could narrow this down. We still got 1.5 to 2 million, but it's better if it's more, so let's just go, let's say 23 to say 36. 2.5 to 3 million, that's even better. So I would go 23 to, I would go right up to I think 38. So that would be my target age group, and that's 3 to 3.5 monthly active people. If I do everything geared towards this specific age group, which is not really young, but not very old either. So if I targeted everything towards that age group, that tells me I'd have the best results. Let's take a look at their activity level. And they are also more active on Facebook than the average Facebook user. Look at the pages they like. They like kids stuff, they like clothing, they like family stuff, home decor, women's clothing. And for the pages liked, there's a lot of kids stuff here again, which kind of makes sense as well with the age group and the demographic, women, and this age group 23 to 38. A lot of them will have kids, a lot of them will be parents of young children, even teenagers, some of them here. I saw something here about teens. teens and kids. So here, what this is telling us that if we have an interest in football ourselves and we wanted to target women who are interested in football, we could create our store around that. But at the same time, we know a ton of other stuff that they like. So we know what to post on our Facebook pages to get most engagement. We know what to blog about, and we can, once more, as I said before, we can tailor the types of products we sell them. So we don't necessarily need to stick to this one particular niche on our store. We could be mainly targeting this niche, but we could be selling related stuff as well. So we could be selling kids football stuff too, because these people, this group, they have kids. A lot of them are parents. Okay, now I really hope this is coming together and making a lot of sense to you. But in the next lecture, we're just going to go through some of the points here and help to really pull it all together for you. I want to make sure that you totally understand where we're going with this. Hi everybody, this is just a very short video to tie it all together and make sure that you understand what this whole exercise is for. So we were looking at a 20 to 35-year-old age group, females in the United States. We looked at the interest, adventure, travel. We noted that this was an educated group of people, which normally means a higher household income. Now, Facebook used to give us information on household income in Audience Insights, and that information was provided by a third-party market research company. Of course, we could never be sure if it was accurate or not, but that information was there. It's no longer there. We no longer have that information available. But when we have a group of people who are significantly higher educated than the rest of Facebook users as a whole, we can assume that they would in general have a higher household income. We also know this group of people is active on Facebook. They're active clicking ads, reading posts, engaging in posts. So this makes this audience a good target audience. So what could we be selling to this audience? Well, we know from looking at the different pages and the different things that they like, we know that they are interested in weddings. So there are quite a lot of these people who are getting married. And of course, because the interest we were looking at is adventure travel, we've got travel accessories and camping. Fashion and fashion accessories, this is pretty much universal for this particular age group. So no matter what interest that you look at with this age group, for the females and even for males as well, but especially for females, fashion and fashion accessories is always going to figure pretty highly among the things that they are interested in. Now, we also looked at parenting. Now, we know again that this is an educated group of people, not quite as educated as the adventure travelers, but still a good bit more educated than Facebook users overall. We know they were very active on Facebook. They click on a lot of ads, they read a lot of posts, they make a lot of comments, and they share posts, etc. So again, a very good target audience. We also saw that this is quite a large target audience. There are several million monthly active users in this particular group. Now, what could we sell to this particular group? Well, the obvious is kids and babies, and kids and babies is a big niche. So they could be kids, or it could be preschools, or it could be 5 to 10-year-olds. Now, the reason I've got 0 to 10 is because we've got this 20 to 35-year age group. Not too many of them will have older kids. So if you were targeting the 30 to 40-year-old age group, then a lot of these women would have teenagers. So you could be looking perhaps at a different demographic there, a different type of product that you could be promoting and selling on your store. Now, there are tons of different things you can sell in the kids and babies niche. Also, home decor. They were interested in home decor and interested in home anything because they're parents, they're young parents, so they will be buying things for their house, they will be improving their house. That stands to reason. And fashion accessories again because of the age group 20 to 35-year-old. Now, you might be wondering, why not just go completely broad? Why not just pick a country, pick an age range, and pick a gender? Why bother entering any interests at all? Well, the reason we do this is because we get much better data. We get much more specific data in audience insights. If you don't put any interest in at all, then you're going to get very general information and it's not going to help you a lot. You can go ahead and try it and see what I mean. And maybe you'll find it does suit you, starting broad and then going from there. But the best way that I find is to start entering some interests. Only ever enter one interest at a time, otherwise the data is going to be skewed. Enter interests, check the size of the audience, check the kind of things that they like, the kind of pages they like, which categories they are most interested in, that sort of thing. If it doesn't suit, if it doesn't work out, if there's not a big enough audience, try a different interest. And that, I find, is the best way to do things. But if you want to try going completely broad, not entering any interests at all, go ahead and try it. Okay, now, in the next lesson, so next up, it's a short article I'd like you to read about choosing a country to sell in. So choosing a country to drop ship in. And after that, we're going to move on to brainstorming. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, let's brainstorm. Now we're doing this based on the audience that we have chosen and the research that we did on that audience using Facebook Audience Insights. Now the first step in brainstorming is simply write down ideas as they come into your head. Just let the ideas flow. Don't try and qualify anything or think about will it work or will it won't work. You're not at that stage yet. The first stage is to write everything down as it comes into your head. Just use either pen and paper or use a text file on your device. And try to come up with at least 15 ideas. Now these are just ideas. They are not specific products. We're just talking about ideas here. Okay, so concepts. So for example, jewelry could be one. If we were looking at the young female audience in the US, jewelry could be one. We could have something like accessories we talked about already, wedding. We came up with these earlier on when we had been looking at that niche and looking at the demographics of that niche, the pages they liked, etc. So coming up with as many ideas, try and come up with about 15 ideas. Now, when you're brainstorming, sometimes it can be difficult because sometimes we get this mental block. Now, if you've got this mental block, just stop. And you need to probably maybe take a step back, or move away from your device, perhaps go for a walk or do something. I find that going for a walk, even driving sometimes, helps to get me thinking creatively and I'll come up with ideas. So it's hard to force creativity. You have got to get into the right mode for it. Now, if you are really struggling, it's possible you didn't do enough research in audience insights on your audience that you've chosen. So maybe you need to go back there, do some more research. So once you've got this initial brainstorming session out of the way, you've come up with at least 15 ideas, you can now move on to the next step, which is expanding on this. Now, to do that, the best way to do it is to use a mind map. All right, now there are a couple of free mind map tools online. In fact, there are more than a couple. There are several of them, but the two that I would recommend would be MindMeister and FreeMind. Now, FreeMind is completely open source software. It's completely free. MindMeister has a free plan, so they have a basic free plan, which should be enough for you. But if it's not, then use FreeMind. But MindMeister is really nice to use, and I like using the free plan there as well. So here I have filled in a few of these bubbles with letters that actually mean something. So let me explain what this is. In the middle here, the A stands for audience. So that would be your audience in the center. And around the outside here, the first level of bubbles, this represents ideas. So I for ideas. And actually your mind map would be a lot easier to work with than this. This is just a diagram to demonstrate what a mind map actually is for those of you who have not used mind mapping before. So we've got the A for audience. This is the audience in the middle. And then we've got the ideas. And then coming off the ideas, we've got niches. So for each idea that you come up with, try and come up with some niches. Now, you may only be able to come up with one niche for the idea, depending on what the idea is, but you may be able to come up with lots of niches for the idea. And then from niches, from there, you can come up with products. So for each niche that you have connected to an idea, try and come up with several products, at least 2 or 3 products for each of those niches. Now, your goal by the time you finish mind mapping is to have at least 20 or 30 products. More is better on your mind map. You don't have to do all this in one sitting. Maybe this will take you a few days. Maybe you will think about things, when you're not in front of the mind map. Maybe you'll be, as I say, out for a walk or out shopping or at the gym, whatever, and something else will come into your head. Fine. You can fill it in on the mind map when you get back to your device. So this is how you can come up with a big list of potential offers or potential products that you can sell to your chosen target audience. All right, see you in a minute. Hello everyone. Now that you have researched your audience and you've brainstormed some ideas and then you have expanded on those ideas using mind mapping to get lots of different product ideas and niche ideas, sub-niche ideas. It's now time to start to narrow down and make a short list. So we're going to be eliminating some of those ideas now as we go through a few rules that you should apply when choosing what to sell using the dropship model. Now, the first thing to be aware of is that you should have absolutely no emotional attachment to any sub-niches, any categories, any types of products, because when you do that, you end up with tunnel vision. And when you have tunnel vision, you miss a lot of opportunity. So the last thing that you should be thinking is, oh, I would really love to sell this product, or I'd really love to sell that product. Because you are not here taking this course because you want a hobby. This is a business, and a business is always about 2 things. It's about the customer, so it's about providing great customer service and providing great value with the products you're selling. And then for you, it's about making money, and it's about making as much money as possible. And that is really what it's about at the end of the day. So anybody that kind of tiptoes around and says things like, it's not really about the money, that's just simply nonsense. We don't do this for any other reason than to make money. No business, if it's an actual business, is run for any reason at all other than to make money, to make profit. So you should always have an open mind, and you should never have any kind of emotional attachment to any kind of product or any niche. Now, something to be aware of, if you're not aware of it already, is that when you dropship, your profit margins will be smaller than they would be if you were buying in stock. That's because when you are dropshipping, you are in effect purchasing one product at a time. So you're not buying in bulk. So although you get better prices than the retail customers, so you're getting still better prices than retail, you're not getting the lowest price that you could possibly get if you were buying in your stock in bulk. So that's one of the things we need to be aware of when we are drop shipping. So the profit margins are normally smaller and the competition is higher simply because there's a lower barrier to entry with drop shipping. But that doesn't really make any difference to us. That's one thing I want to make clear. The competition makes no difference if you are going to stand out from the crowd and make yourself different. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you as well in this course. But we do need to follow certain rules when choosing what to sell. So you're going to learn how to identify products that have a really good potential. So products that can sell a lot of volume and make you thousands of dollars. Not all products that you sell will be these high volume products, but as long as you can have some high volume products and sell some high volume products, then it's okay to have also other products on your store that are only selling every now and again. Now, in the next lecture, you're going to learn how to identify products with these good profit margins. And these are the types of products that you want to sell using the dropship model. So we are now going to look at these rules so that you can then identify products that fit these rules when you start looking for suppliers, which we're going to be doing very, very soon. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, now here we are with the rules, and you're going to be pleased to know that there aren't many rules. There are only 3 rules. The first rule is pretty important, but it's also quite flexible, so I'll explain that in a moment. You should be looking for products that retail round about between $40 and $250. So if it's a different currency, just do the conversion. Now, I used to say 80 and 250, but because there are really a lot of exceptions to that, so there are a lot of products sort of between $40 and $80 that you can still make a good profit on. So I'm saying between 40 and 250. Now, much lower than that, and what will normally happen is that you can't make enough profit on these lower priced items. If you're not making enough profit per unit sold, so when you sell an item, if you don't get enough profit on that item, if it's only $2 or $3, you're probably going to end up with nothing. So a very small profit like that can easily get eaten up unless you are selling a lot of volume. So you either need to sell a lot of them or you need higher profit margin. You need more profits per unit sold. Now, if you sell items that are higher price, so over $250, maybe even over $200 sometimes, then you're taking away that instant purchase element because customers will need to think about it. So they won't just go ahead and make the purchase most of the time. They'll think about it. They'll leave your website, come back, leave, come back. Maybe they'll have questions and you'll have extra customer service. Now, if you don't mind this extra customer service, that's not so bad. But if you want to avoid that, if you want customers to buy the first time or the second time even they visit your site without having too much thought about it, then don't go for items over above $250 that retail for over $250. Now, there are exceptions to the lower limit and the upper limit. Now, it could be that you find a product that you can make $10 profit on by selling it at $30. So, that could be okay. There are exceptions. And with the upper limit of 250, there are certain niches and certain types of products that are naturally going to be above that price anyway. So furniture, for example, that's one thing. Certain hobbies, maybe like golf and climbing, that kind of thing, where there is always going to be items that are going to be above $250, but the people who purchase these items they're accustomed to paying these kind of prices. So you do need to use your own brain a bit here as well, and don't just take this as a hard and fast rule. It's a guideline. So it should probably be called guideline number 1 as opposed to rule number 1. But anyway, I'm sure you know what I mean. Now, rule number 2, ideally the product should not rely on the skill of the user to make it work. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's two examples. It's not a very good example, but the first one here on the left, this is a lighting kit, so a home lighting kit. It's a strip light. And the one on the right, that's a toy chest. Now, the home lighting kit, depending on the person, it doesn't look too complicated to me, but depending on the person may not know how to set it up. Okay, so you may have extra customer service if you sell things like that, or you may get more returns. So the toy chest, now that's just a toy chest. There's really nothing to go wrong with that, hopefully. So you see where I'm coming from. Now, if you are selling, though, however, to hobbyists, so if you are selling products that are aimed at an audience, a specific audience for a specific hobby, and the products and everything that goes with that hobby is normally something that the person buying it knows how to use anyway, that's kind of different. So an example of that would be the boating hobby niche. So an engine, for example, you would expect somebody buying this to know how to fit it and to know how it works, because otherwise they wouldn't buy it, or perhaps they have somebody else who's going to do it for them. But either way, this is a hobbyist kind of item, and the person buying it is not going to buy it unless they actually know how to use it. Okay, hope that makes sense. Now, the third rule is that your product should not be readily available locally for your customer at a cheaper price or a much cheaper price. Now, when I say the product or your product you want to sell, I'm talking about the exact product. I'm not talking about the type of product. So, for example, let's say you were selling bracelets. Now, people and shoppers can go to the stores and they can buy bracelets, but as long as they can't buy the exact bracelets that you are selling, as long as they're not readily available all over the place in any stores that sell bracelets and at a cheaper price. So that's quite important. And this really relates more to things that are everyday things. So we're talking perhaps things that people buy and use and consume all the time, and they can buy readily in their local store. I would definitely stay away from that kind of thing. Now, I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, please do ask on the Q&A board. But that is it for the rules. That's all that you need to think about. We don't have a ton of rules or a big set of rules that you need to follow. So if you have your list now from your mind mapping and your brainstorming, you can now look at these rules and cross off anything that quite clearly and obviously doesn't fit with these rules. But at the same time, don't eliminate anything at this stage in the game just because it's selling for a bit less than $40 or a bit more than $250. Just eliminate the things that very obviously are not suitable for dropshipping based on these rules or these guidelines. Okay? See you in a minute. Hello again, everybody. Now, in this lecture, we're going to talk about two important things. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the competition, because often students ask me, how can I find, or wouldn't it be great, would it be a good idea if I could find something where the competition was very, very low or there was no competition? Well, here's the thing. Everything is competitive. If it's not competitive, it is absolutely not worth selling because the demand is not there. So a high demand means high competition. A low demand means low competition. Which is easier? Well, in fact, it's easier to go with something that has high competition but a very high demand, because it's easier to take your share of something that's already popular than to try and capture a market with low demand. You need a much, much more of the market share with low demand and low competition. You know, if something's low competition, there's a good reason for it. All right, you can never be first. Now, you'll never be first unless you happen to invent something. You will never be first to market, and you will be very unlikely to get in early as well with something that is then going to become very popular and very high demand. Trying to find something like that will take up all of your time. You'll end up never getting started. So I don't worry about competition anymore. I now embrace competition because I know that that means there's a big, big demand for this particular niche or particular type of product. So really, it is good to enter a competitive niche. The rewards can be very big because you only need a very small share of the marketplace. Now, if you follow this course, in the later sections of the course, where we start setting up the store, setting up our store, and all the things that we do throughout the course to make the store stand out and to make what we do different. And you're going to find in this course that we're going to be focusing quite a bit on how to approach our market, our audience, from a completely different angle. And this is how you can actually compete in competitive niches. Now, there is one caveat to that. There are certain products that you wouldn't want to sell because they are dominated by a few really giant brands. Now, examples would be your cell phones, your mobile phones. I mean, that's dominated by Apple and Samsung. Your laptops and computers, you've got Dell, HP, and a couple of others. TVs, LG and Sony, etc. And then things like perfumes and fragrances that are dominated by a few enormous brands that, you know, they really have pretty much the monopoly, especially with your cell phones and laptops, computers and TVs. So unless you were selling those actual name brand items, you wouldn't want to go into those niches. Dropshipping, it's very unlikely that you would be able to sell these name brands and still make a profit. All right, so that's competition, but now we're going to get into something that's even more important. I want you to stop thinking like this. So, like what, you might be thinking? Like you only have one chance to make it work. And I decided to cover this based on all the feedback that I have had from students since I released the first version of this course in 2015. It's a very common way of thinking to think that what you decide to do and the niche you decide to be in, the style of your store, what's on your store, the products that are in your store, the products you decide to sell, it is a big mistake to think along the lines that this is it, that this is going to be your niche, the products you sell, and whatever happens, you've got to make this work. That is absolutely the wrong way to look at things. You have as many chances as you want, especially with dropshipping, because remember, you haven't got any stock to buy, so you can change things anytime you want to change them. So this means that you don't need to limit yourself because you've got no stock to buy. And here's what successful e-com store owners do, even if they're not dropshipping, but it's easier to do, much easier to do when you're dropshipping. Test stuff and then test some more. So what can you test? You can test different audiences, different niches, different sub-niches, different products. You can test all of these things. Now, when you've set up your store for the first time you do it, it's going to take a little while because it's a new thing. You've never done it before. But with the e-commerce store building platform we're going to be using here in this course, once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to switch out a whole store in a day. Change everything. Change the colors, change the product line, change the whole lot in a day. In fact, even less time than that. I've switched out a whole store in a few hours. So I've changed everything. I've changed the colors, I've changed all the categories, I've changed the logo, I've changed the header, I've changed everything and the products as well in the space of a few hours. Because some things will work and some won't. That's the way it is. And that's the way you need to look at it. You try different things, you test different things, and then you run with the winners and you drop the losers. And you do that over and over until you get to where you want to be, whatever your personal goals are as far as your income is concerned. And you can do it all with just one store. You don't need multiple stores. You can do it with just one. Now, later on in the course, when we look at scaling up, we will be looking at different options of having, more than one store. But it absolutely isn't necessary, because you can get to where you want to be with just one store, providing that you think the right way. So just take on board what we've covered here now over the last few minutes about testing stuff. And some things will work and some things won't work. You just test and you find the things that do work, you run with them, you drop the things that don't work, and then you do it all over again. All right, let's move on to the next lecture. All right, I just wanted to show you this little trick that you can use to get a lot more insight into your chosen audience and to get many more ideas for products that you can sell to your chosen audience. So go back into Facebook Insights and go for everyone on Facebook. Then go ahead and choose your audience. And I think this time I'm going to go for United Kingdom. And I would choose men between the ages of, say, 30 and, say, 40. I'll choose an interest, hobbies, and I will say vehicles. All right, so go to page likes, scroll down to the pages here that they actually like. You can go ahead and open up some of these pages, and you can like or follow these pages. Now, when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing the posts from these pages on your own time, on your own news feed, so in your news feed. And that's going to allow you to quickly notice any posts that have a lot of likes and shares and comments. You will also start getting ads as well. So Facebook will start displaying ads that they think are relevant to you because you've liked these particular pages. So in other words, you're going to start to see the things that your target audience is seeing. And if you do this with several of these top pages, so for example, if this was my audience, I would go ahead and like this page, this page, this page, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So I would like most of these top 10 pages, with the exception of Amazon. And then what to do is, once you start getting these posts, you'll start getting the posts on your newsfeed straight away. If you see any ads coming through, so any ads that Facebook is displaying to you now, because as far as they're concerned, you now have the interest of this same interest of this particular audience. If you start clicking on some of those ads, Facebook is then going to show you more ads. So if you see an ad that has a lot of engagement on it, then you know this ad is actually popular among the audience on that particular page. If you go ahead and click on that ad, it'll take you to the website of that ad. Then Facebook is going to say, aha, this person's interested in this ad, I'm going to start showing them some more. Now, there are a couple of downsides to this, obviously. First is that you're going to start getting a lot of posts on your news feed from these pages, which, if these pages are not of any interest to you at all, you are not in this demographic. So, I'm not a male between ages 30 and 40, so I don't really want to get all these posts coming through on my news feed. But at the same time, if I want to get the information, then this is what I need to do. So one way of doing it is to have more than one Facebook account. So we're just talking about personal pages here. We're not talking about like paid ad accounts or anything like that. So personal pages, and I have a few, and I log into them all from the same IP address, and I've been doing it for years. I've never had a problem. Now, another way of doing it is to put up with having all these posts on your news feed. Your friends can't see them, only you can see them. So it's not like your friends are seeing all these posts and wondering why, all these posts are suddenly on their timeline. It's only your timeline that they're appearing on. However, you'll have all these pages, liked pages on your profile. So all these pages you like on your profile. And if it's a demographic that's way out of, way away from what you are. So if you're a 40-year-old man and your audience is 20 to 25-year-old women, and you've got all these pages on your profile, these are the pages I like, then it might look a bit strange if your friends or, your partner or whatever visits your Facebook personal page. But you can actually hide those pages from public view. So how you do that is go to your own personal Facebook page, and where along the top you've got timeline, about, friends, photos, more. Just hover your mouse over more and choose likes. And then you can click the little pencil icon here. You can click hide section. Now that removes the whole section or hides the whole section from your profile. So none of the pages that you've liked will be visible on your profile. And you can put them back visible again anytime if you want to. So you have a couple of options here to do this. You can have another Facebook account entirely, which is, I think, probably the best way. But if you do have another account, you're going to like some of these pages, then it's also a good idea to interact a little bit with the posts that appear on your timeline. You don't always have to comment, but if you just maybe like some of the posts and, as I say, click through on some of the ads, because you do want to make your Facebook page look as if it is real. Yeah, you can do that, or you can simply hide the whole like section and just put up with the fact that you've got all these posts coming up in your timeline. And don't forget that you can unfollow pages and prevent these posts showing up in your timeline for the future at any time. But I recommend that you do this if you don't know much about your target audience. So if it's a demographic that you don't really know much about, so you're not really involved with that demographic in any way. So like me, I wouldn't know much about men between the ages of 30 and 40. So my son is not that age yet. So that would be an age group for me that would be quite alien. So therefore, I would have to do quite a bit of research into this particular demographic. And one of the things I definitely want to do here, which would help a lot, would be to like these pages here. Okay, hope that helps. Hello everybody. Now we are going to take a look at how to establish whether or not a product is a hot product or it's not a hot product, because this is really important. You need to give yourself the best possible chance when you first start selling. So I'm over here at AliExpress, and this is what the website we can use to find out how popular a particular product is, or a particular type of product. So I'm going to start typing in some different products so we can take a look at just how popular they are. And the first one I'm going to do is inflatable beach chair. Now these have been pretty hot over the last 6 months or so. What we're looking for is several pages of listings here on AliExpress. This is a really good indicator as to how popular a product is, because the sellers, suppliers here on AliExpress, they've really got their finger on the button as far as what is popular and what's not popular. So anything that's popular, you're going to see a lot of listings for it over here on AliExpress. So this is what I'm talking about, these things here. So yeah, these things here, there's been a bit of a craze really for these over the last 6 months or so. So they've been very, very popular. So what we're looking for is several pages of listings. So if we scroll down the bottom first of all, and we can see this has 4 pages of listings, which is not a huge amount. I mean, my thoughts for this is that it is not as popular as it was several months ago. Okay, it's been a bit of a craze really, more than anything. Nevertheless, this is still selling well with 4 pages. Now what we're looking for as well is we're looking for plenty of listings that have orders, and the more orders the better. Now what we're seeing here is that this is kind of mixed, so we've not got a huge amount of orders, but we do have quite a lot of listings with orders, but we also have quite a few listings without orders. I wouldn't put this down as a very hot product. Now, I wouldn't choose this product myself because we can find better products, we can find hotter products than this. So let's try the next one. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give you some examples of completely unrelated product types. So we're going to try hip hop necklace. Okay, now scrolling down, we can see a lot of orders. You see here, 59 orders, 92 orders, 18, 274, 198, 53. And right down the page, we've got orders on the majority of these listings. You see, 48, 108. Now we're scrolling down, we've got 7 pages. Now that's good. There are 7 pages of listings here for hip hop jewelry on AliExpress. This is most definitely a hot type of product, and it's not the type of thing that's going to go out of fashion. It's not a trend, like it's not a fad like the inflatable beach chairs. Those particular type of chairs have been a bit of a fad, but this is not a fad. Hip hop jewelry is going to be popular for as long as hip hop is popular. And the next thing we're going to look at is crossbody bags for men. This is something that over the last few years, over the last couple of years especially, has become very popular. Now scrolling down here, again, we can see lots of orders. And there are orders on most of these, if not all of these listings on the first page. This is looking really good. And there are 7 pages or 7+ pages of listings for crossbody bags for men. So this is another product that is really popular, and this is a product that could sell and would sell well. And the next thing I'm going to look at is wildlife wall art. Now what we're seeing here is that we've got 3 listings at the top with orders, and this one here actually has a lot of orders. But if we keep scrolling down, we can see there are no other listings with orders, just the top 3. So this is not, by the looks of it so far, a hot kind of product. You wouldn't want to sell a product like this because you wouldn't sell enough of them. I think it's too specialized. And what you can see here is there are only 3 pages of listing here on AliExpress. Now, in contrast, if we look at kids wall art, we're going to see completely different kind of results. So what we can see here is that scrolling down, we have got lots of orders. That one there has 360, 33, 342, 136, 227, 54, 68, 75, 118, 23. Orders on all of these listings going right down the page, and again there are 7 pages, or at least 7 pages of listings, because 7's as far as they actually show here until you get further up, but there could be more pages. So we've got a lot of listings, we've got plenty of listings. All these listings on the first page have orders on them. Now this is telling me that kids wall art is very popular. Most of these will be stickers as well. Stickers are really popular, but these are not stickers, these are prints, and they're selling well too. So some of these stickers, by the way, these wall stickers are big stickers, like taking up almost the whole of a wall. So you can actually do well with these, you can actually make good profit on these kind of products. So this is again a product that it's not a fad. People are always going to want to buy wall art for their kids' rooms, and what we're seeing here on AliExpress is this is confirming that this is a really popular kind of product. Alright, so once you get to the stage where you have a list of products from your previous research, you can use AliExpress to confirm whether or not it's a hot product. Now, you may already know, because if you are focusing in on an audience that you resonate with, and it's the type of audience that you yourself are, you are one of those people, then you may already know if a product's hot or not. But if you don't, you can use AliExpress here to find out. Okay, see you in the next lecture. Hi everybody. Now, if you are finding Facebook Insights in any way cumbersome, or if the target audience that you're looking for and you're looking at, if you're just not really getting the results that you want, which can sometimes happen because Facebook audience is great, it's a great tool and it's the way I like to do my research, but sometimes there are glitches and sometimes some of the information is not showing and it can last for days on end. So anyway, this is an alternative way of doing things, and we're kind of flipping things on its head here, because what we're doing is we're looking for hot products. So we're looking for really popular products first of all, and then we are going to quickly find out who the target audience, that our target market is for these products. So now to find hot selling products is very simple, and you don't really need to visit too many websites. So we're going to use Amazon and eBay. Now, to find the bestsellers on Amazon, simply go to Google and type in Amazon bestsellers and then the country that you want to look at. So Amazon bestsellers US, or Amazon UK bestsellers, or Amazon France bestsellers, Amazon Canada bestsellers, whatever it is. And that's the easiest way to do things, because that will give you a direct link to the bestsellers page. Now, this is bestsellers for amazon.co.uk. And to look at any particular category, you just click a link along the side here. So for example, let's say we want to look at, let's say we're going to look at garden and outdoors. And now we're going to be able to see the top 100 bestsellers in garden and outdoors. And this is updated every hour. So you know that you are finding really hot selling products here. Now, if you revisit these bestseller pages repeatedly, what you're going to find is that there are particular products that are always in the top 100 bestsellers. So if you don't mind spending a bit of time to go back to the bestsellers list in any particular category and look to find products that are in there all the time. So products that virtually never leave the top 100. You know that these are like evergreen products that are selling all the time, selling really well all the time. Nevertheless, just knowing what's in the top 100, that's going to help you a lot. And here's the very same over on Amazon.com. So once again, we can just choose a particular category, any category you want, and we can see the top 100 bestsellers in these categories. Okay, so that's Amazon. Now another place we can look is eBay. The website to go to here is watchcount.com. This is free and it is really great for finding out what is selling and what is popular on eBay. The thing is that if a product is a top seller, it's popular on Amazon or it's popular on eBay, we know that that is a product that is a hot seller that has a lot of appeal, regardless of whether we're selling it from our own website or where we're selling it from. We know that we've got a popular product. Now, the great thing about Watch Count is that you can choose any eBay marketplace. So whatever country that you want to sell in, that will be the one to choose here. So you just click to choose any at all. I'm just going to click on ebay.co.uk, that's the UK marketplace. You can either enter a keyword or you can choose a category. So if you have no idea, you don't know what you're going to sell, you just want to find hot selling products in any category, what you can do is choose a category. So let's choose, for example, let's go for health and beauty. Click show me. And then you can scroll down the list. Now the most popular is at the top and it shows you how many watchers. It doesn't show you how many sales, it shows you how many watchers. But we know that on eBay, if there are a lot of watchers, we know this is a popular product. You can choose different categories, or if you have an idea of what you wanted to sell. So for example, if I just type in the keyword dog, if I thought that I was going to create a store around dog products, I just would go no category, keyword dog, show me. And straight away I can see what is going to be most popular among dog products. So what are the most popular dog products on eBay? Now if they're most popular on eBay or if they're popular on Amazon, as I said, it means it's a popular product. So these are the two places we can look. So we go to the Amazon bestsellers and we go to watchcount.com to find out what's the most popular on eBay. Now the next thing we want to do is once we've decided on a product or we have made a list of products that we're interested in selling, we then want to find out, get a rough idea who our target audience is. So we want to know, are they predominantly male or female? What country do they live in predominantly? And we should also try and get a rough idea of the age group. Now using free tools, I'm not going to be pointing you to any paid tools here. Using free tools is a little more difficult to get an idea of the age group. That is why it does help if you can sell in a niche that you have some experience of, or selling products that you know appeal to your particular age group. Otherwise, other than that, you're going to have to just do some research around the internet to get an idea of the age groups. Now, a lot of it is common sense, really. I was recently looking at gaming chairs, and it is, to me, common sense to think that gaming is predominantly a male pastime. Now, we know that females do game, but it's more males than females. Now, most of us know this. Also, I know that gaming is predominantly a younger age group activity. So most gamers would be under 30, and we don't want to target under 18s, obviously, because they don't have credit cards usually. But we want to think about, okay, 18 to 30 is a male is probably the main target audience for gaming chairs. That's what I would say in my head without even doing any other research. But then I could do some research around on Facebook and just on the internet in general, just to get more of an idea if I felt I needed to. I really don't think I would need to for that because I already know. But if I didn't know, I would really have to spend some time just going to different stores online, that sort of thing. Maybe even going to physical stores offline if possible, and going into those stores just to see who's the customer in here, who are these customers in here. If I walked into a gaming store, a physical brick and mortar store, I'm sure I would see that there'd be mostly males in there, and they'd be mostly under the age of 30, most of them. So we can do that as well. There are various things we can do as far as the age group is concerned. Now, for finding out where your target audience lives, is located, we can use Google Trends. Now, to do this effectively, we actually need to have an idea. We already need to have a list of products, in other words. So, for example, let's say gaming chairs. And this is interesting because what it's showing me here is that there is more interest in Ireland in gaming chairs than there is in the United States, which surprises me a lot. Now, it doesn't mean there are actually more searches for it though, because it's relevant. So it's relevant to the population. So I'm quite sure there aren't more searches because Ireland is a very small country. So it's very unlikely that there will be more volume of searches for gaming chairs on Google in Ireland than there will be in the United States. But relative to the population, there is more. So there's more interest in gaming chairs in Ireland. And you can also look at the related queries to give you other ideas for products. Now, there's nothing really here that gives us any other ideas for products. But if I try, let's try another one. Let's try dog bed, for example. And if we look at the related queries, we can see that people are looking specifically for UGG dog beds. They are looking for crushed velvet dog bed, unicorn dog bed, harmony dog bed. And these are the rising related queries. So this is up by 650%. So a lot of people have been looking for UGG dog bed. But while I'm making this video, it's Christmas. So these results here are going to take into account the fact that people have been buying gifts as well. Nevertheless, this here is great information. What I'm seeing here is that if I was going to sell dog beds, just general generic dog beds, there's more interest in the United Kingdom than there is in the United States, and there's more interest in the United States than there is in Australia. Now that of course does not mean that you wouldn't do well or you couldn't do well selling dog beds in the United States, Australia and Canada, because remember, this is all relative to the size of the population. And in any case, you know, dog bed, that's quite a general term. We could make it something like indestructible dog bed. And what we can see here is that this is a search term that's used in the United States and pretty much exclusively in the United States. So in the United States, people are searching for indestructible dog beds, but not so much anywhere else. Now, the other thing we can do is we can go from past 12 months, we can change it to say the past 90 days. So let's go back and do another search term. Let's go back to gaming chairs. Now, when we looked at the 12 months for gaming chairs, what we saw was that Ireland was at the top. But now that we're looking at just the past 90 days, what we can see is that there is more interest from the United Kingdom. In fact, they're showing a lot of interest in gaming chairs because they have even overtaken Ireland as far as interest is concerned. Okay, well, I hope this lecture has been helpful in helping you to decide what to sell. See you in the next one.